At Lollapalooza in 2014, Andre 3000 wore this iconic jacket that read, "Across cultures, darker people suffer most. Why?" Let's talk about that. Before we get into it, make sure you subscribe for more of the series. If you've spent any time on the internet, you've probably heard of or came across a word called colorism. Now, what is colorism and why does it exist across cultures? The term colorism was coined by African-American activist and author Alice Walker in 1982. She defined it as the prejudicial or preferential treatment of same-race people based solely on their color. So, while racism is concerned with race, colorism defines the relationship between people within the same race, but based solely on the color or shade of their skin. Colorism also defines the privileges that one has in society. The lighter you are, the more access you have to class privilege and resources. An infamous example of colorism in Black history is the paper bag test, which was allegedly used to determine which Black people could or could not enter clubs, sororities, fraternities, or even churches. If the color of your skin was darker than a brown paper bag, then you were denied admission. Shit, I don't even pass this test. Colorism's origins in Black American culture owes mainly to European colonialism, white supremacy, and slave class hierarchies. And it still affects the community to this day. A 2013 study showed that girls with very dark skin tones are 3 times more likely to be suspended from school than girls with very light skin tones. And a 2011 study showed that women with lighter skin tones received more lenient sentences and served less time than women with darker skin tones. Yikes. Colorism doesn't only exist in Black American communities, unfortunately. It is prevalent in cultures across the globe. The origins of colorism has its roots in a variety of factors, depending on the cultural context. In many cultures throughout East Asia, for example, the origins of colorism can be linked to classism, class systems, and hierarchies. In many cultures across Asia, there is a belief, so embedded in culture, that associates darker skin with poverty, savagery, and criminality, while lighter skin is associated with beauty, purity, and wealth. Colorism in these cultures stem from the notion that lower-class laborers worked in the fields all day, being beaten down by the sun, which led to their darker skin tones, while those from upper classes were able to relax indoors and remain relatively fair. However, this isn't the case in every culture in Asia. Skin whitening is a booming industry in countries like the Philippines. From whitening capsules to soaps to creams to glutathione injections, people are doing anything they can to lighten their skin tones.
So together, let's move from white to whiter.
The Philippines was under Spanish colonization for 333 years. During that time, the Spanish established a racial caste system that divided the native populations and gave power and influence to European colonials. Placed at the bottom of this hierarchy were negritos, different groups of Black Asians that are indigenous to what is now known as the Philippines. Placed at the top of this hierarchy were white Spaniards that were born in Spain. This hierarchy determined people's power and wealth, where they could or could not work, how they were treated, and how they were taxed. The legacy of this hierarchy established by European colonialism is still felt today. A person's skin tone can still determine what jobs they can or can't get or who they can or can't marry.
I'm gonna be a flight attendant. Fortunately, there was an opening. So it's like, okay, let's do this, Ave. I don't have any idea how these interviews go. I can still remember it. It went really well. Second part was written exam. I did well on that and I was like on the last stage. I remember there are only 3 people on the last stage. 2 of them got accepted. Third person is me, who then got the job. I remember clearly what she said. You can be a flight attendant. Your posture is nice, the way you talk is nice. However, maybe you should go back after 3 months and get a glutathione shot because you're too brown.
But colorism doesn't only have societal effects. There are psychological effects too. A 2011 study showed that dark skin has been linked to higher rates of depression. A 2013 study showed that dark-skinned adolescents are more likely to have lower self-esteem. Many studies have even shown that the psychological impacts of colorism tend to affect women and girls more than men and boys. A 2010 study found that girls as young as 6 are twice as likely as boys to be sensitive to the social importance of skin color. With that being said, men are more likely to be killed extrajudicially by police. It was found in a 2017 study that police killed more African American men with darker skin tones than those with lighter skin tones. The origins of colorism in many cultures throughout the global south is rooted in European colonialism and white supremacy. Did you know that there are only 22 countries in the world that the British Empire hasn't invaded? And that's just one colonial empire. We haven't even touched on, France, Belgium, Germany, Denmark, Netherlands, Norway, Portugal, the rest of Spain's exploits, Russia, Scotland, Sweden, and Italy. Whether colorism is a result of East Asia's class system or European colonialism, I think we can all agree that treating and judging people differently solely on the color of their skin is kinda trash. I believe that knowing one's history gives one a greater sense of self. When we learn our history, we can decolonize our future and make the world a safer and more inclusive place to live in. This is No History, No Self. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up and let me know in the comments. Have you ever experienced colorism? Have you seen it? Let me know. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Peace!